The COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 threw an aggressively hostile cat among the already jumpy pigeons of the South African education sector, plagued as it was with low completion rates. In the higher education sector, we suddenly had to embrace the mode of practice termed emergency remote teaching. In my case, this meant a cobbled-together process of WhatsApp forums and the online platform provided by my university. The switch was dramatic. For the first weeks of the semester, I'd been engaging my students with an integrated literacy practice in order to teach a module on the methods of reading the New Testament. We had been intensely studying narrative theory, reading and writing about character, setting, and plot. Now I was faced with teaching the second half of the module on the history and sociology of ancient Palestine in an unfamiliar mode. In addition, I was negotiating with the widely scattered students about which online medium of communication could meet their needs most effectively in the context of scarce data resources in rural South Africa. This paper develops the strong connections between legitimation code theory and systemic functional linguistics at the University of Sydney. I'm attempting to build a learnable and teachable system for integrating reading and writing academic discourses into a higher education module. This system is for students from poor and marginalized communities attending university in the first generation, and to give them a gateway to the powerful discourse of academic English. Especially this gateway is to the way this discourse condenses and structures knowledge in texts to pack sizable amounts of meaning into the relations between words, clauses, sentences, and paragraphs. At the simplest level, Martin's 2013 proposal of a power trilogy, power words, power grammar, and power composition, introduces academic discourse in high school and higher education contexts. It is premised on 30 years of Sydney University research into genre pedagogy for integrated literacy based on the teaching and learning cycle of Rothery 1994. This work also underlines the reading to learn knowledge and curriculum genres, a set of learning and teaching modes designed to highlight the conventional structuring of different types and forms of academic texts. Rose's system of integrated genre pedagogy unpacks the structures and meanings of academic texts, word by word, sentence by sentence, and paragraph by paragraph. Rose's system is the ideal of a pedagogy for academic discourses that should give teachers a comprehensive level of understanding text, grammar, and spelling, and student confidence with reading and writing. However, I propose a different first approach to the messy reality of teaching at a university, with staff resistant to approaches through language teaching. This approach uses the analysis of knowledge condensed into English discourse from LCT semantics, especially epistemic semantic density and epistemological condensation. LCT semantics is concerned with how abstraction and generalization in language reflect the way knowledge depends on concrete contexts or is able to rise above contextual constraints. This semantic gravity forms a matrix with semantic density to map the relations of language and knowledge. This paper will be concerned with semantic density, especially epistemic semantic density, which is about how knowledge is condensed, particularly through academic language and discourse. Epistemic semantic density matches with the Power Trilogy. In their proposal for analyzing academic discourse in English, Mayton and Doran have proposed a system for investigating how words and wordings condense knowledge by packing meaning, facts and data from different academic disciplines into the technical terms and vocabulary for reading and writing in that subject. Similarly, their proposal for epistemological condensation looks at how clauses in academic language use grammatical forms to build taxonomies and systems of knowledge relationships, which further pack up information and data to abbreviate and abridge what needs to be communicated. Finally, Mayton and Doran proposed that knowledge is organized, structured, and composed across and between sentences and paragraphs. This composition provides more ways for condensing and abbreviating knowledge, with the aid of pronouns and other language patterns, showing how an extended text fits together to express an academic discipline. My proposal in this paper is that the elements of integrated literacy knowledge and curriculum genres and epistemological condensation can be developed into a system of power composition. This power composition could be a useful, learnable, and teachable system for my students to unpack academic texts and their structuring and organization. This system could, I hope, provide the students with a relatively simple key for reading academic texts and eventually feed forward to tools for producing high-stakes academic organization in their future written assignments. The conditions of emergency remote learning forced me to adapt the reading to learn curriculum genres or methods of teaching to fit the new mode of delivery through PowerPoint slides with accompanying audio. The Reading to Learn system sets out almost all classroom interactions in a simple prepare, focus, task, evaluate, elaborate formula. This formula sets up the conditions for students to understand the task through preparation and focusing activities, which develop the student's frame of reference and work systematically through the task before checking the student's understanding and providing further information. I followed a more elaborated curriculum genre, preparing for reading tasks and presentations that set up the conditions for understanding the general background of the text and how it is structured. Sentence by sentence reading breaks down the text into sentences, introduces each one, unpacks its meaning and structure, and then puts the sentence back together by linking it to its context in the structure of the text. In face-to-face classroom delivery, this genre can be achieved with pens, paper, and highlighters. In addition, I work with a specially produced version of the text with numbered sentences, which the students mark as we systematically work through the lesson. However, for the conditions of remote learning, the elements of this curriculum genre needed to be broken up into several slide presentations and short videos in manageable sizes that could be uploaded on WhatsApp and the university's online platform. Preparing for reading presented me with the challenge of producing short talking head lectures filmed on my phone, outlining the background and basic content of the text I was about to unpack. I had to strike a balance. On the one hand, sufficient detail on the complex historical period and sociological phenomena relating to ancient Palestine, of which telescoped examples are given in the text. On the other hand, not overwhelming the students with this detail. In addition, my preparation for reading addressed my recent discovery of the power of genre theory to unlock the knowledge and meaning of texts. As a result, I also produced slides to present the breakdown of the stages and phases of a factorial explanation. This text type presents a phenomenon and then sets out a limited number of factors that explain it. This structural genre analysis would provide the students with an overview of the text. More importantly, it provided me with the structure to compose my PowerPoints focused on the phenomenon and then each factor in turn. The factorial explanation is set out as a phenomenon or the thing to be explained, followed by 4 factors. Each factor is set out with a statement linking back to the phenomenon and also to the first factor about a local ruler being competent and loyal. This statement is elaborated by an extended example taken from the Herodian family, the most prominent local rulers in Palestine during the 1st century of the Common Era. Factor 1 begins with a statement, if a local ruler. The theme of the 3 following factors are phrases referring back to this statement. Factor 2 begins with part of the price. Factor 3 begins with at the same time. Factor 4 begins with but above all. These themes mark the beginning of each stage of the explanation. The topical theme in all factors is a variation on the idea of local or client ruler. The new part of each statement sets out the conditions for maintaining power. In Factor 1, the focus is on competence and loyalty. The next 3 factors elaborate on this. Factor 2 is about military cooperation with Rome. Factor 3 is about collecting taxes for the Romans. Factor 4 is about maintaining order. This structuring of the text establishes it as a factorial explanation. In terms of Mayton and Doran schema of epistemological condensation, this text exhibits several important discourse patterns in English. Working from the lowest epistemological condensation, we see a good deal of repetition and reiteration. The repetition of the idea of clients in all the factors is a significant wording that connects all these stages of the explanation, as is the reiteration of Rome and Romans. The examples in each factor also develop repetition and reiteration. They illustrate incidents from the Herodian family history, the complications in the fate of the father and the two sons who ruled Galilee and Judea. In this text, the other conspicuous sequencing discourse pattern is a high level of vertical condensation, which uses topical themes at the beginning of the sentence to stick together the ideas and knowledge between sentences. For example, in Factor 3, the theme of tax collecting is developed across the 3 sentences by repeating the word this, and then culminating with the phrase, the most important point is. The final pattern is horizontal sequencing, which I already noted in the genre stages. The factors are linked back by their textual themes to set up a consequential sequence of conditions and factors for local kings staying in power. This emphasized their structural connections to the explanation format. The translation of theory into practice is where the rubber hits the road in teaching. This experience is even more true in the mode of emergency remote teaching. The element of improvisation is paramount in an online space that was neither intended nor prepared for online modules. In this space, the tools and the mobile data available for me and my students were severely limited. In normal times, my integrated literacy pedagogy would comprise a sentence-by-sentence verbal unpacking of the knowledge condensed into this text using a clear, prepare, task, elaborate format. In remote teaching, I worked out how to replicate some of these moves of the curriculum genre through PowerPoint presentations and voice notes on WhatsApp or the university's online forum. The major challenge was the amount of historical and sociological knowledge condensed and packed into the text. I could not presume that any of the students had any prior knowledge. In these circumstances, accurately understanding and appreciating this explanation's structural and genetic factors came to rely heavily on the prepare move in the methodology. As I prepared to approach reading this text, I recorded a series of mini lectures on my phone, setting out the history of the Herodian family. These lectures outlined their climb up the greasy pole of client kingship in the Roman Empire. Presuming that these lectures had done their work, I proceeded with the unpacking of the structure of the text. This move was complicated because students in rural areas could not access Zoom. Only WhatsApp was available. Unpacking an explanation factor by factor proved more challenging than I expected. I embarked on it through PowerPoint slides and audio files. I attempted to convey the condensed knowledge logically in enough PowerPoint slides to do justice, and without too many to prove confusing and overwhelming. I had to make many choices, alternating between detail and structure. To analyze these choices and to illustrate them, I will look at the slides for the first factor. I will highlight the strengths of these slides and point forward to improvements. There is considerable condensed knowledge to cover in the slides. Since the first factor's statement is crucial to the rest of the explanation, I needed to highlight the repetition in red, such as local ruler repeated as client king or client ruler. The other two words, competent and loyal, give more coded reference in the rest of the text, so I have highlighted them from the statement. But in slides 2 and 3, I missed the repetition of Herod and he and Rome and Romans, which are key to the rest of the explanation. As with the preparation, the elaboration move is crucial to support the structure by filling out the significance of the details in the new information. So slide 4 is my attempt to provide this elaboration. Unfortunately, I also highlighted the phrases for the elaboration in red, which detracts from the structure of the text. In future, I will need to distinguish the structure from the details more carefully.